High inflation isn't a friend for the rural economy, and this is leading to pain in the rural sector, which has become visible over the past 2 quarters in the asset quality of lenders who are actually focused in the microfinance segment. And it's also showing up in the loan growth rate, which has declined in H2 FY24 versus the growth that they had in H2 FY23. Gross NPA of the lenders increased by more than 32% in H2 FY24 versus H1 FY24. This compares to a decline of 32.5% in H2 FY23 when compared to H1 FY23. This is surprising as H2 is usually a better half for the microfinance lenders. For 70% of the lenders, the gross NPA has increased anywhere between 22% to 124% in H2 FY24. ISAF SFB, their gross NPA increased by 124% in second half of FY24. Credit Access Grameen, a top-notch microfinance player, saw its gross NPA rise by more than 83% in second half of FY24. The rise in H2 FY24 NPAs compares to a decline in gross NPA for most of the lenders in H2 FY23 like Suryodaya Small Finance Bank and ISAF Small Finance Bank. They saw their gross NPA decline by more than 60% in H2 FY23 versus the number of H1 FY23. Credit Access Grameen too saw a sharp dip in its gross NPA by 34% in second half of FY23. Rise in NPAs has impacted the credit cost of the lenders, and provisions have increased sharply for majority of them. Provisions increased by 8.5% in H2 FY24 when compared to the number of H1 FY24. Largely in Q4 FY24, majority of the provisions have come in. Ujjivan Small Finance Bank provisions have increased by more than 94% in H2 FY24. ISAF Small Finance Bank, their provisions have increased more than 59% in second half of FY24. In H2 FY23, provisions for lenders has actually declined by more than 38% when compared to the number of H1 FY23. Satin Credit Care, Spandana Spurti had seen the provisions decline by more than 60% in second half of FY23. AUM growth rate has slowed down as well in H2 FY24 versus the growth rate that they had in H2 FY23. So H2 FY24 AUM growth of the lenders has been about 16.3% when compared to H1 number, and they had a growth rate of 22.8% in H2 FY23 versus the H1 of FY23. So growth rate has been impacted the most for Spandana Spurti, ISAF SFB and Equita Small Finance Bank. The key takeaways are that high inflation and elevated interest rate may continue to impact the repayment in the microfinance loans. Some lenders are also showing high disbursements but lower loan growth, suggesting repayment issues. Hence, loan growth rate has started to slow down for majority of the lenders in the microfinance segment. Given this, pain in the asset quality can continue in the near future for small ticket loans.